Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's broadcast. I am honored to be here with two very powerful mothers and women to share with us about how they have used phonemic intelligence, Dr. Pillai's premier technique for changing the brains of children, and how they've used it with their own children and the results they've produced. So let's take a step back and just ask the question, is there a more profound contribution to the evolution of humanity than investing in our future leaders and investing in the riches of the youth? In my opinion, there is not. Imagine a generation of eager minds ready to abolish poverty, to take on unimaginable new heights in development, be centered in their hearts, to be able to lead with compassion, love, clarity, focus. This is what phonemic intelligence can do, especially when it's taught at a young age, bringing through to into the developmental years of children. Dr. Pillai says that sounds are the building blocks of the universe, and a phoneme is a single syllable sound. He says that sound equals intelligence. So this leads us to the catalyst of human evolution, Dr. Pillai's phonemic intelligence. In this broadcast, we're going to learn about what phonemic intelligence is. We're going to hear about how these techniques have been being used at home and the experiences being had by the children and parents using the techniques. A little bit about the breadth of phonemic intelligence as being used in other places like school systems. At the very end, we are going to receive a taste of this technique, and we'll tell you about the very first home study program for phonemic intelligence, meaning you can now teach your children at home how to use this technique on a regular basis to create profound results. So first, welcome my friend and colleague, Chantel Romero. Thank you so much for being here. Give us a brief overview. What is phonemic intelligence?
Yeah, thanks, Gina. Well, first, I'm reveling in your vision there of investing in our future leaders. As a mother, there's nothing that speaks more to my heart than the vision that you just outlined there. So I hope everybody has taken a minute to really latch on to that. At its core, phonemic intelligence is a brain competency enrichment program. As you mentioned, it uses the simplest building blocks of sounds, which are phonemes. And those phonemes target specific areas of the brain that are related to things like learning, behavioral response, emotional response, and even the parts of the brain that are related to empathy and compassion. And so I think what a lot of people don't realize is that almost everything that you're experiencing in life is related to how your brain is functioning. And even though it sounds maybe even a little complex because the transformation and the results are so robust that you get from using the technique, it's actually relatively simple. And so I'm really excited at the end to help guide everybody through an experience with that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Chantel, what is your role in bringing phonemic intelligence to the world, just so people know your title and your experience?
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, I was introduced to this technology and had the blessing of being able to use it on my 3 very young children at that time. And so at first, I was just a student of the technique itself. And as my life became more enraveled in using it and we started seeing the transformation, I started volunteering with Tripura. And eventually, that role grew into a business development manager, kind of coupling my professional background with my personal passion for this technology and the evolution that it's providing and that we want it to provide for everybody. So I've been working with the team to take the PI technology that Tripura has been sharing with the world and turn it into programs like the PI Home Study Program so that people like me can get it in their home and experience those magnificent transformations too.
Fantastic. So that's a great example of you really being involved in creating passion and using your passion to create a career as well. So thank you for joining us. Next, I have Mary Judith Sullivan. You are extraordinary person I've known for many years. Thank you for being here. I am always moved and by you as a parent and the results I see in your children. Having known your girls, your 2 beautiful daughters, for many years now. I've seen them grow up, and they're beautiful inside and out. And it's everyone that I know who knows them in our community asks, what is it? What is the secret ingredient there? What is Mary Judith doing differently than other parents? And that's exactly what we're going to talk to you about today. Please tell us how you got started with phonemic intelligence, when, and what you were doing with your children to make such beautiful young adults that they are now.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. With myself, it started 12 years ago using the sounds, and all the credit I would be to give to Dr. Ply for bringing these ancient and incredible techniques that are so simple, just with sounds, and bringing them into our lives, making it very practically feasible to do and have a profound impact on myself and my children. And so it really was 12 years ago when the sounds were first introduced, and myself and my children were one of the blessed people who were allowed to initiate the use of those sounds. And the changes were incredible. Where I can start is just say they were very young. So when they were 10 and 8 years old, my daughters, when they started using the sounds. So they've gone through basically the younger years, and now they're grown up, 20 and 22 years old.
Fantastic. And how often did you use the technique with them?
So when they were younger, we did it was a PI program, sort of I would call it a pilot project. Mm-hmm. So every Sunday we met for at least 4.5 years, and we did the sounds in a small group. It varied in size depending on how many children were available. Mm-hmm. Personally, we did sounds every day when they were younger. Mm-hmm. And it varied again depending on the day, but the technique is quite, as Chantal will explain. So you were able to do that every day. We would do it in the morning sometimes. Pretty much the morning worked for us, but you would also do it in the evening if we did in the morning. And then when they got to being teenagers, there was a lot less structure involved. We sort of made sure we did it as a family. We would do it one day a week, usually a Saturday, and then taper off as they got into their upper years of high school, and then now university. They're of course on their own.
Right. So because you have the unique experience of seeing your children grow from ages 8 and 10 to where they are now as young adults, what experiences did you notice that were different in your children as opposed to others that they were growing up with?
There were many wonderful things that I noticed, and we also noticed the group of children, even within that 4-year period that we had. The changes were incredible, and just within those group of children that we were working with. And myself, my children, what I found, especially I noticed the big impact was in the self-esteem. They were doing okay in school as it was, so they didn't have any, they hadn't had any grades problems, whereas other children that we had been working with within our group did have, sort of problems in that area, and they improved dramatically. Mm-hmm. Myself, with my particular children, that's really one of the key things I noticed was the self-esteem and confidence, which carried through, and it was really vital as a parent, especially once they hit grade 7, grade 8, mm-hmm. 9, 10, and through high school. that was what the key difference was I found that they were really quiet leaders. They were not swayed by what the populars were doing. They really didn't care what the populars were doing. And they just went about their business. And what I found was they quietly attracted the other children that they were, so they were they really were popular in their own way. Not that they were the populars, because they were, these different titles for these groups. Sometimes they called them the plastics.
There's so much peer
they were
pressure.
different socially. So they had a confidence that they weren't swayed by the popular kids. And what I found was they were helpful to affect the other children, and it sort of gave some of the other children that weren't confident the confidence to then be able to be themselves. So really what it was them being able to be themselves and finding out who that was within their own being. So that was like one of the key changes. So they weren't influenced by partying, and not that, there's, bad for other people, but it was just they were very steady and focused on, their work, and they were into sports heavy, so they were very focused on their sports also.
And how would you describe your relationship with them?
Well, what I used to always be very grateful for was the fact that when I heard of other parents, especially teenage parents, and a lot of them were going through nightmares, and I really felt for them because I wasn't. And it really did, I feel, have an impact of just these sounds, because they were very focused. They were very conscious of not hurting other people, other children's feelings. Even when they were younger, they would stick up for other children if they were being bullied, or, again, that the sounds were integrated exactly as Chantal, when she actually goes through the sounds, and giving that confidence within knowing what the right thing to do is. And those are really important as the children are growing older, because the parents do have less influence, and it really needs to be the internal guidance that keeps them on the right path. And that's really one of the key benefits that I found for the children. And of course, keeping that focus, keeping that ability to stay on the right track meant our relationship was on the right track. Wow. So we had we had very good communication, which was really unusual for a lot of parents with teenage children. I know that some of the teenage kids would say, to my daughters, "Oh, you tell your mother that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I talk to my mother all the time." And we're like, "Oh, we don't do that." And so that's, how do you put a finger on what that is? But that, I know, is part of what these sounds are. It's the complete package. I just can't say enough of how incredible they are.
Yeah, so it sounds like, to me, listening to you, that they've grown up and adopted deeper ways to connect with others, empathy, compassion, respect for you and other beings, the people around them. They're focused. They have a sense of clarity of who they are, their sense of self, their confidence. And I love that you said that it trained them to have their own guidance system. So now that they're in their early 20s, as a mom, it leaves you, I'm imagining, the ability to not worry about the choices that they're going to make, because you've equipped them with the tools to be able to trust their own guidance system and be able to use that in a very wise and productive way for the rest of their lives. So what better gift as a parent can you ever give than that right there?
That was really well summarized, but that is exactly what it is. And I even felt that way in high school, which is very unusual for a parent. So that other parents that I would speak to during that time were worried about where their children were going, what was happening, and I really honestly never worried because I knew they were good. And that is a real blessing to have that ability as a parent to not have to be worrying and to be able to trust. Now for sure, I mean, I trusted even, when you're choosing from high school to university to make those decisions, there's support there to help whatever the children's are trying to figure out what particular area study they might have. But that was the only necessary, way to just provide some support. They were able to find out even that themselves. So
Right.
It's been a wonderful gift for sure.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And
Thank
I
you.
love and this lends itself to the fact that everyone admits that right? And when we're around people who have that confidence and peace of mind and sense of self, that it emanates around and creates a space. So not only are you and the people who are doing these sounds with their children creating human beings who have these gifts, but that those gifts are being given to others unconsciously and through the space that is being created. So thank you for creating two amazingly wonderful daughters who are now going to continue to impact others all around them as they grow and move through life, and we can't wait to see what else they are up to. Thank you, Mary Judith, for joining us today and contributing.
Thank you so much, and of course all the thanks goes to Dr. Pillai for creating this whole incredible phonemic intelligence. Thank you.
Absolutely. So my next guest is Chantal Romero. You met her earlier, and not only is she works to distribute phonemic intelligence, but that she has children and she does sounds at home with them. Thank you, Chantal, for joining us. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you got started. You have 3 children, different age groups. You do the sounds. How often? Give us a sense of what you have going on at home.
Sure. So at the time that I started with the sounds, it really just was by me inquiring that I knew that some of these programs had kicked off and they were becoming very successful in India. And I had the opportunity to trial the technology on my children who were living in an entirely different type of demographic and environment. And at the time, my children were very young. They were 3, 5, and 6. But after I saw what the program and the technology was, I realized that it was simplistic enough probably to even use it on my youngest son. And I had some goals for all of them. I was preparing for the summer, the start of the school year. My youngest son was just starting preschool, and he was, having some attachment issues. And there was something for each of them that I felt like as a parent I wanted to take a little time and prepare them. So we started using the PI technology, and even to this day we use it every day. And I noticed a big difference, not only in the areas that I really wanted to see some improvement for them in terms of their individual goals, but even, most surprisingly, myself. So some of what Mary Judith talked about, which is as a parent you can quickly become wrapped up in fear about what's going to happen to your children if a certain path or expectation isn't met. What happens when you release them to the world and entrust their care to somebody else for a good portion of the day? And as parents, you're being rooted in a place of fear is really never a helpful place to be. And so as I was doing the technique with them, the biggest change that I noticed was that it was helping me too. And as I was feeling better and more confident, that affected them too. And as we hear often, these universal truths that come up like, children will do what you do and not what you say. But you almost have to have that aha moment for yourself before you really realize, yes, that's really the way that it works. You know, the more confident I was, the more, you know, the more clarity I had, the easier it was to kind of release them to the world, and the easier time they had feeling confident, making their own decisions, and engaging with the people around them in a way that was fun for them instead of being so nervous about everything. So that was really my experience. And even now, my children, it's been about 5 years, and my children are a little bit older now, but they still use the technique, and they recognize for themselves if there's a gap in doing it, which I think is really powerful, how they work internally, and sometimes if they're having a challenge or an issue, what they can do to fix it. They can identify it and fix it for themselves, and that's a really nice place to be too as a parent, to watch your child be able to do that.
Yeah. I heard once you mentioned how, I think it was your little one, who said, oh, we haven't done the sounds lately. And because he had noticed, you know, a different type of energy, I think, in the home is what you were saying.
Yeah, it was our oldest son, and he used to have such trouble every time he was frustrated, just being angry and not really finding the right words or the right channel to deal with that. And after he'd done the technique for a while, he noticed in himself how much easier that was. And I think we had gone on vacation, and, you know, quite honestly, we'd just gotten out of the swing of things, and he hadn't been doing it for a week, and one day he just got really mad. And he looked at me and said, you know, just what you said, Mom, I know what it is. We just haven't been doing the sounds, you know. So yeah, it was a real, that was one of those aha moments that I was so pleased with.
And what great self-awareness to bring to your children, that they're really instilling this intelligence at such a young age.
Yeah, it's a great gift.
So on that note, what have you seen different in your children as opposed to other children maybe they hang out with, or, you know, in school environments you're exposed to lots of children in what, you know, in your communities? How are they different? And how is your home different than maybe other homes you've experienced?
Yeah, so I have to echo what Mary Judith said about just kind of self-awareness of how they work. For children of their age, and there are so many things for elementary age children to become preoccupied with. That sometimes there is, I notice in a lot of kids, a little bit of a disconnect between what they're experiencing in life and kind of how they're associated with it, their choices, their own emotions, you know, their interactions with other people, and having that awareness that every time we go out into the world, you know, we have an impact. We touch people, we talk with people, and it kind of has this chain effect. And I see my children becoming more conscious at a younger age about their place in the world and how they interact with other kids. And it is a lovely place to be because it does enable them to be more compassionate and more empathetic, and to play a role where it only builds their own self-confidence that they're doing something of significance. In terms of our home, what I notice most is that it feels less chaotic, I would say. You know, we have 3 young kids. They're definitely loud, they're definitely energetic, they're definitely bright, and so it always feels like there is just a lot going on. But amongst that is this underlying sense of an easier place of being. You know, there's a lot of joy underneath that, and a lot of that sense of just being chaotic and frustrated and not being able to kind of go with the flow has dissipated. And I notice that in a lot of homes that I go into. The situation might be the same in terms of everything that they're moving through, the number of activities, but the peace of mind is not there. It's you know, just feels different.
So greater sense of peace and ease in your home that you don't sense in other people's homes with 3 children, or even less maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
That's significant. That's significant. Is there anything else distinctive that you've noticed in your children, like specific examples? Have their grades changed? Have they, you know, adapted differently to situations?
Yeah, gosh, I could go on and give you all kinds of examples, really, but I'll share. My oldest son definitely had, when he first started learning to read from kindergarten to 1st grade, he had kind of a self-confidence experience where he jumped from kindergarten to 1st grade, and the nature of learning to read became different in making that transition from the different grades. And even though he was very bright and he didn't have really a problem with the material, he really lost his self-confidence as part of that transition for one or another reasons. And that year it initially started out kind of rough for him, where that lack of self-confidence affected his interest in reading and then his progression in reading due to his lack of interest. And I really was working very hard with him the first month or two to get it back. And then when I really started realizing that I just needed to kind of relinquish the control and put it into the intentions of the sounds again, and we worked with the sounds, particularly with that intention of working on that challenge, that's when we started to see the results, and his confidence started coming back, and thus the much easier, smoother trail into success again in reading. And over the course of the next couple of years, he really regained his love of reading. His grades came way up in that particular subject matter, and now you can't tear him away from a book. And I see a lot of kids that go through those similar situations where if you told a parent, and if you had told me at that point in time that it would change, that he would change in that way, I would have said no way, because so often we try and diagnose our own problems, and we're incorrect about what we're diagnosing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would have told you at that time he just didn't like to read.
Right.
And that really wasn't the case. And so when I kind of gave up my control of trying to decide what was wrong and what was right and just let the sounds do the work, it really fixed itself, you know. So that's a great example, and I know that a lot of parents are interested in finding kind of that one-size-fits-all for educational difficulties, and then also the things that couple with it at home, which are behavior issues or challenges.
Right, right. And as someone who works with phonemic intelligence, I understand there's 23,000 children across the world who are using the technique now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've reached probably over 23,000 now, and still growing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of school programs that are kicking off and initiating for this new school year, so we expect that number to continue to rise. Mm-hmm. And I think certainly as, you know, just organically the word is getting out that schools are experiencing these magnificent results, and there are teachers and principals who are very passionate about sharing their personal experiences. We're getting a lot more interest about how to spread that, and certainly it's the global goal to bring in all children to this program. But Tripura Foundation is a really amazing, you know, amazing place, and the donors are really amazing to help that program spread in the way that it has thus far.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So just, you know, giving our viewers a snapshot of how phonemic intelligence is being used. So far, it's been in Hope Centers through Tripura Foundation. It is being introduced into school systems, low-income school systems, typically where there's not as many resources. So these are being provided by Tripura. And now, for the first time, we are introducing the home study program, because it has been overwhelming for years now. I have been personally getting, you know, people asking, I'm sure our office always as well receives requests, how do I do this at home? How do I teach my children? How can I take advantage of this? Here are there, you know, your many people in your house who you want to help serve more than anyone. And finally, the home study program is coming to life. Can you give us a brief overview of what that looks like? I know you did an in-depth video of all the components, so yeah. Folks, if you want to know those details, you can check that video out.
Yeah, so thanks. So this is so exciting for me to share about, because like you said, we've been getting so many inquiries, and I feel like we're satiating a need that's been a long time coming. So the program is primarily based out of what we call the core technique. And now Dr. Pillai has developed a number of levels and enhancements to the core technique to progress people through the use of the value of the technology. But at the root of it is a PI core technique, which we've had lots of schools use successfully, just that one technique for several years, and continue to experience magnificent transformations. So this program takes the core technique and puts it into, we actually have a 3-module approach. So for this 3-module approach, you have 12 weeks of learning experience with the PI core technique. And then as an added bonus, you really get another full month of instruction for an intermediate technique, and then a full month of instruction with an enhanced technique. And even though a lot of children will need to spend more time than 30 days with the core technique, the fact that parents get the education and extra added value of how to move their children through more advanced stages when they're ready is really phenomenal to me. It's the first time that we've shared how to move through the technology in that way. Now, the first call for this particular program is scheduled for September 26th. That's our big kickoff. It's right after the solstice, which is a great time for new beginnings, and just energetically a good time to just start something new, kind of like a new year. And so we'll be having a couple of other calls and things to answer questions and things like that. But if you want to go on the Fly Center website, there is a page there under PI Home Study Program where people can learn more about the components of the program. And like you said, there's a video also that walks through it all in much more detail. And I'm hoping that we can walk through it now live, and I'll give people a little bit of a taste of what we actually do in the program, the real meat of it.
Definitely, we're going to do that for sure. Quickly, just if anyone is interested in joining this program, time is of the essence. As you notice, there are dates where it starts on September 26th. There's an early bird special that is expiring shortly. Check out the website for that. And this is a lifetime access. So like Chantal is saying, there's the core technique, which is the basic foundational technique you can teach your children. And then there are 2 levels of more advanced techniques that you can use when your child is ready to move to that next stage. So lifetime access to this technology, and you're able to use it as much as you want, and of course on as many children in your home as you have. So one package that you purchase is really for the parent, teaching it to the children. So yeah, let's get started, Chantal. I can't wait. Let's do it.
Okay, great. So let me give you a super quick kind of integrity training, so to speak. So basically, we're going to be using our hands, and we're going to be putting them strategically on either our right or our left brain, or our right or our left eye in this instance. And for this example, we're going to be using the sound ah, the basic phoneme of ah. So let me just show you. When we use our hand and we put it on our eyes are going to be closed. And you can notice that my fingers are facing up. We don't want our hands to the side or this way or that way. And we want to kind of have a cupped hand so that we're not pressing too hard on our eye. Now when we do the right and the left brain, we're going to be doing a crossover. So our right hand's going to go on our left brain. And you'll notice that my elbow is dropped and relaxed. Sometimes this can be a little bit of an awkward position when you're not sure what to do with that. So just relax. And then you'll see when I turn to the side here that my fingers are pointing back towards the back of my head. And my hand is just slightly above my ear. And my thumb is closed in here. And we're going to be doing the same thing on the other side. So sit up straight. I'm going to take you through it. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to rub our hands together. We're using our tactile functions here. And then we're going to feel the warmth of our hands. Just an awareness of that sensation of warmth as we use our hands to touch these strategic parts of our head. Now we're going to take our right hand and we're going to place it on our right eye. Now together we're going to repeat the sound ah 3 times. We're going to hold the sound for approximately 5 seconds. And then we're going to move to a new hand and head position. So let's start now. Ah, ah, ah. Now let's take our right hand and cross it over to our left brain. We're going to feel the sound ah going deep inside our left brain. Ah, ah, ah. Put that hand in our lap, and we're going to use our left hand and place it on our left eye. Now feel the sound ah go deep inside the left eye. Ah. 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 Now take your left hand and cross it over to your right brain. You're going to feel the sound ah go deep inside the right brain. Ah. 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 Relax and slowly open your eyes. Now this is an abbreviated version, meaning that we actually use more than one principal phoneme, and we actually do a number of other head positions, and we couple this with affirmations that are appropriate for the audience receiving it. For our school program and for young children, there are affirmations to let the children know why they're activating each part of their brain and what they're going to achieve by doing so. And that's important for the children to kind of really put their silent concentration and their focus, which is really what takes that phoneme and puts it into the brain and gets it activated. Now there is an audio that we sent out, and for anybody that doesn't have it that's interested in it, you can sign up. There is a page also on flycenter.com. You can sign up for more information, and I can put the link in the chat box under the Hangout window when we're done. And when you sign up there, you can receive an audio of this technique that you can use for practice. And it also comes with the instruction, again, at the beginning, so everyone's reminded of what they should and shouldn't do. And experience it in the privacy of your own home and see how it works for you.
Fantastic. That is great news. So we give you something you can take away now. Start using with your children or just yourselves. This is for children and adults. And if you have questions about the new home study program, write us, office@flycenter.com. I think there's another email, but office will work as well. And let us know what questions you have. We will be doing a follow-up Q&A live next Saturday, I believe. And but when you opt in and put your email address in to receive the free technique, we will also send an update and let you know when that is, so you can be up to date on everything you need to know about participating in this new course. What I personally love about this is that it's approximately 10 minutes, the entire technique. So if you feel as a parent you don't have time, it's probably about the same amount of time as it would take to get your child to brush their teeth. So it'll just be one more thing you add to their tool set of making them a better human being for the long run. So we invite you to participate not only for your own self, your child's sake, and of course the future of humanity and making a difference to all beings around the planet. Thank you, you amazing, beautiful women, for your participation, for what you do as a mother, and everything you do to contribute to a better world. And thank you to Dr. Fly for this technique, for everything he has done to establish community intelligence on a global level.
Thank you both. Thank you so much.
Namaste, until next time.